Today we're making this adorable, beginner-friendly macrame snowman ornament. Hi friends, let's get started right away. Check out the description box for the full list of materials. Take one of your black 20-inch strands of cotton rope and fold it in half to find the center. Place that center behind your small 3-inch wooden dowel and thread the long tail ends through that loop. But this isn't a regular lark's head knot, so do not cinch it up all the way just yet. Instead, grab one of your long 20-inch strands of white cotton rope and thread it through that lark's head loop. Grab the two ends of your white cotton rope and place them together to make sure that it's centered. Now you can go ahead and cinch up your lark's head knot. I'm going to show you another way to do this that I find a little bit easier. This time I want you to fold it in half and create your lark's head knot in your hands. Thread your white cord through that lark's head, center it, and then slide your wooden dowel through that lark's head knot. I find this method easier, but either way works. Once you have all 6 cords attached, you will find that you should have 2 left of your white. We will attach those later on. Working with the first 4 strands of your black cord, we're going to tie a square knot. As always, if you find that I'm going too fast for you, feel free to adjust the speed of this video by tapping the 3 dots on the top right corner, or you can always go ahead and check out my knot tutorial playlist. With the next 4 cords, we're going to tie another square knot. And finally, with the last set of 4 cords, we're going to tie our last square knot in this row. I'm doing a macrame Christmas tutorial every single day for the month of November, so if that's something you're interested in, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. For your next row, we're going to alternate our square knots. So to do this, we're going to skip the first 2 and last 2 cords, and we're only going to tie 2 square knots right in the very middle. So after you skip the first 2, with the next 4 set of cords, tie your square knot. Because this square knot is staggered, it will join the first 2 square knots of our previous row together. For the next row, bring back down those cords that you had skipped, and we're going to tie 3 square knots. Skip the first 2 and last 2 cords again and tie 2 square knots in the middle. This is called an alternating square knot pattern. For the final row of the hat, we're going to tie 3 square knots. Now we're going to rotate it and work on the bottom half. For this first row, it's just 3 square knots all the way across. Now for this first row, make sure you're tying your square knots very taut right up against your wooden dowel. We don't want a floppy snowman. Now for this row, we're going to need those last 2 white cords. Grab one of your cords and fold it in half to find the center. Take that center loop and place it right behind the first 2 sets of white cords. We're going to tie what I like to call a floating square knot. Now don't worry, it's just the same as a regular square knot, only our working cord that we're tying the knot with is not already attached. And because it's not attached, that means it can slide up and down on the anchor cord. So once you've tied your square knot, slide it all the way up to the top. Now the next 2 sets of 4 cords, we're just going to tie regular square knots. And with the last 2 cords, we're going to attach another floating square knot. For the next row, skip the first 2 and last 2 cords and tie 3 square knots. Bring back down those cords and tie 4 square knots. Skip the first 2 and last 2 and tie 3 square knots again. And for your final row, tie 2 square knots in the very middle. Okay, now it's time to tidy up all the loose ends. Snip off all your black cords, leaving about a ½ inch of a tail. And keep these scrap pieces, we're going to use them later on. Grab your hot glue gun, and what we're going to do is we're going to flip over our snowman to the back side, and we're going to tack down all these loose ends. Fold it inwards and smooth it down, kind of like you're wrapping a Christmas present. Now to fix these bumps here, what we're going to do is we're going to add just a tiny bit more hot glue right on the inside, and then press them together and hold it there for just a minute until they've dried. Grab one of your scrap pieces, and what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of a brim. So add a small bit of hot glue onto the wooden dowel. And I apply this at the back so that it's not easily seen. Then just wrap your scrap piece around the wooden dowel a couple of times. Hold it there for a moment, and once it's dried, snip off the excess length and repeat to the other side. Next, we're going to clean up all the bottom white cords, just like we did for the hat. Snip off all the excess cords, leaving about a ½ inch, and then glue it, folding it inwards towards the back. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and add some details. You can use 1mm craft cord for this, or you can use some of your scrap pieces. I think I'm going to use the scrap pieces this time. So in my case, taking a scrap piece of cord, we're going to tie a double overhand knot. Well, actually, we're going to tie 2 double overhand knots because this is going to be his eyes. Snip off the tail ends of your knots, then grab your hot glue gun and add just a tiny dab of hot glue to attach his eyes. For his nose, I'm going to use a really small piece of this orange rope. Now, if you don't happen to have orange rope, you can use yarn as well. To get this orange piece of rope to look more like a carrot, we're going to fold it in half and kind of measure it on your snowman to see the correct length. Mine was a little bit long. Then add a tiny dab of glue at the end. And what we're going to do is we're going to pinch it so that it forms a point. And just a friendly reminder, hot glue is in fact hot, so please be careful doing this. Once you have the shape correct, you can go ahead and attach it onto your snowman. And I like to add just a little bit more hot glue right near the tip of his nose. For his smile, I did decide to use a little bit of craft cord. I do like that it's thinner. Now, I do like the handsome little cleft chin our snowman has, but we're gonna hide it with a bow. Grab any old ribbon that you happen to have. I think I got mine at the dollar store. And we're just gonna tie a simple bow right at the end. Snip off the excess ribbon. Then what we're gonna do is add just a dab of hot glue to his cleft chin and attach his bow. To make the hanger of our ornament, we're gonna grab a scrap piece of craft cord and tie an overhand knot at the end. Then with the loop end, we're gonna thread that right through the top of the hat. There should be a small gap right in the center. Thread that right through, and then with the short tail end, thread that through the loop. Now, you see that snowman on the top left corner? That is tomorrow's tutorial, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss a pattern. And I'll see you in the next one.